The problem is
Self-aware.
his presuppositions are his problem.
Oh yeah. I want to know what he thinks the problem of consciousness is.
Well, it's being self-aware. So once apes
It's
consumed,
emergent.
well, apes consumed mushrooms, mycelium, and the psychedelics caused new connections in the brain, new neural connections, which then made us be able to basically become self-aware. And then that's where religion started coming in.
I think
After the,
the big problem it always goes back to what's the word, ignorance, is you
Yeah.
don't understand consciousness, how it works or whatever, so you turn it into
Yeah.
something
Or
magical.
science.
You think that consciousness is like this, there's a soul and it's like this magical thing that exists outside the body. There's no evidence for that. In fact, we're tending toward everything as material,
well,
including consciousness.
and that's just a mistranslation of Greek, which the word soul in Greek is suke, which actually we derive the word psyche from.
Hmm.
And basically that's all it meant in Greek was the human psyche, consciousness.
That's interesting. I never
Right.
knew that.
Well,
That's good to
well,
know.
we could get
This guy
into
doesn't
the
know what faith means either.
right. Well, we could get into the semantics, but what matters is I know what people mean when they use the word soul. And so
Mm.
regardless of like the origin and the semantics of it, I know what they're
Where do we know
attempting
how
to
we
say.
became conscious? Sorry. Yeah,
And
just read
just
his text.
to me, the concept of a soul on its own is highly illogical. There's no evidence to support it, and it's sort of like wishful thinking, in my opinion.
They tried to measure the weight of it and all, and that failed. They got a couple of positive results in their very few in their database, but so they've got a few believers because of that. But it turns out that was just
But
what do you
a
call
lot
that,
of the
recording errors
a lot of
when they
religion, you just
fact
gotta
checked.
look at the origins. Like, how were these words used in this time? What do they mean? Like, heaven means sky. Like when they always say "look to the heavens," they mean look to the sky because they thought the sky is where the heaven was. Like,
Mm.
it's a lot of
And
misunderstanding.
a rigid heaven above the clouds. The firmament was rigid. It was shiny too,
So
apparently.
you have another presupposition here, Grasso. You're saying, show me the physical substance of the soul. There is no soul. It's something that people made up
Yeah,
for wishful thinking. They want
yeah,
it to exist. There is no soul. Do you understand
Well,
now?
unless you use the original Greek version, which just means consciousness, being aware,
Right.
self-awareness, and that's
Right.
basically all it is. Your brain is self-aware, which I don't think some of these Christians are aware of anything.
I think that we don't have to prove anything, dude. You have the extraordinary claim. Like we win by default. You don't understand this.
yeah.
Like if you like
Consciousness
I'm willing
exists.
to take you
Who have you
seriously and
got?
everything, but like it would work so much better for you if you will come up here. I'm not going to attack you, but like this is not really a good format for this. Like we're here, like people can measure our vocal tone and see our, at least my facial expressions and all that. We can't do that for you, and it's easy to misunderstand what you're trying to say. You're at a massive handicap right now, so come up.
Dolphins can. Dolphins are extremely intelligent. They just don't have vocal cords.
Hello,
They
Grasso.
fucking masturbate
Hi
and
guys.
fucking rape and everything.
Yeah,
It's full
dolphins are
on what
nasty.
dolphins can do.
So let's give him a moment to lay out his case here. Like, what do you want to talk about? What specifically are you wanting to discuss here?
Well, I mean, I think that atheists simply have no case for their worldview that we can exist without a creator. I at least have never seen any atheist bringing me any reasonable, logical, plausible, and rational arguments to sustain the claim that we can exist without a creator.
So again, you're starting with a presupposition that there has to be a creator. That's a mistake. That's a mess up. Like
Well,
why do you have that? Let's break it down. Why do you believe that there has to be a creator?
well, first of all, I do not present or claim to have absolute knowledge in regards of ultimate origins. What I have is inference to the best explanation. We have basically two worldviews which compete one against the other. In
Mhm.
one worldview, there is a creator, which I would describe simply as an eternal, powerful, conscious mind. And on
Mhm.
the other side, there isn't any. And
Right.
these two propositions, they compete against each other um, in order to explain why there is something rather than not.
I am going to just add in a little comment here because this is the first major assertion made that there is a creator. And up to this point, we still have no evidence for the creator. I'll let him continue. That's about all I had to say there. But this is definitely an assertion, and a difference between his view and our atheist view is we haven't asserted or implied anything extra to our universe view yet. Our view is still all natural.
So I don't disagree with any of that. In fact, you did a great job of explaining the two sides, but you're not answering where you got your presupposition from. And that's important. That's like the meat of this whole conversation in my opinion.
Yeah, so I am not a presuppositionalist.
But
I
you
am
but
I
Yeah.
am an evidentialist, and I start with the simple fact that we exist, and that demands
Yeah,
an
can we
explanation.
explain your presupposition again then, please? Because
so hold on.
you
Were you
just did.
indoctrinated?
He's saying that he doesn't
No,
have a presupposition, but I think you
but
don't understand what
yeah,
I mean by a presupposition. You
yeah.
believe that there must be a creator. That's a presupposition because you have no evidence for it. And
No,
Can you
you're
bring him up a
no,
little bit
no,
on the
what,
list too?
no.
Because we
You
can't see
didn't
him when
listen.
your
You didn't
bubbles,
listen
air bubbles are
carefully
oh,
upstroke.
sorry.
to what you
How do I
didn't
do
listen
that?
carefully to
Uh,
what I
Select
said.
it
center
and
left.
drag. Drop it.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
click and drag.
center left. Okay, see a thing off the screen. That'll put us all in the middle.
What the heck? I don't know how to do. Oh, there it went.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. I didn't even know you could do that.
Ah, it's just, when the main people are talking, it's good to see them rather.
That's true. So sorry to interrupt. You can continue now, Grasso.
So again, to be very clear, my approach is a cumulative argument for God's existence,
Hmm.
which starts
Ad populum.
with the very basic fact that we exist. The physical universe exists,
Oh,
life exists, biodiversity exists,
Hmm.
consciousness exists, morality exists, all these things they require an explanation. That's my starting point. And my end point is not an absolute assertion, it
Uh-huh.
is an abductive reasoning to the best explanation.
I know, but so the problem is your explanation that in your perspective is the best opens far more questions than it gives any answers. Like it's not really it's why we have this God of the gaps talk in the first place because it always changes and anytime we don't understand something it becomes like a plug that goes, "Oh, that was God. Oh, that was God." And that's not science. That's like the absence of science. That's not thinking. That's not critical thinking at
Well, it's
all.
Bronze Age theory. Like
Yeah, you
Bronze
know
Age,
what
we didn't know how anything
Bartolini's
worked.
law is? In a few sentences, you said so many nonsense that it would take me a half an hour to explain to you why what you said is nonsense.
So
But
hold
hold
on.
on. We did it in less for you though.
Break
We
down.
explained what you thought we thought was nonsense about yours,
That's true.
and the
So
only
okay,
thing
so
is that you're
so I
asserting
will
creator, and you
so
don't
I will
see that.
start
That
with
is your
this. The accusation
supposition, sir.
that we are using a god of the gaps is so old-fashioned, so boring,
it does
But
look,
it doesn't matter. You
and
still
it
haven't
I'm
really doesn't
explained,
look
sir, and you're now being
look,
original.
insulting to us.
I am not here to be entertaining. I'm here to seek truth. So it doesn't matter if it's old, it matters if it's correct, and it is correct.
It
The
doesn't
God the God
matter
of the
about
gaps,
boring.
the God of the
Pretty
gaps
modern.
actually describes specific phenomenon, and that's what I use it for. And it doesn't matter what do you think this is? Like a talk show to where my entire purpose is to like get people interested? No. We're here to discuss things and whether or not they're true. At least that's where I come from.
Okay, so my case is not based on gaps or lack of knowledge. My
It's
case
a
is based.
presupply.
Wow, can I make at least one sentence without being
You
interrupted?
could, but you've talked over me twice when I've been talking, so you know this is
It
maybe
it it
payback. But
is
I'll let
true.
you
It is
continue.
true that both of you have kind of done that, but let's let the man talk for right now.
Okay, so my case is not based on lack of knowledge or, oh, we don't know something there, we put God into it. My case is based on what science has unraveled, brought to light, which demands an explanation. The universe most likely had a beginning. It requires an explanation. What was the cause of that beginning? The universe is finely tuned for life, and there are over 450 fine-tuned parameters which are required to have a life-permitting planet that demands an explanation.
Hmm.
Life is depending on the selection of four specific macromolecules which are required to have life. Life depends on information, instructional complex specified information which directs the making of proteins, which are the workhorses of the cell. That demands an explanation. Life depends on a language which is based on the genetic code. The origin of that
It's not
demands
a
an
code.
explanation. Now, all these phenomena, you can give to them two possible explanations. One is that random luck did the job, and the other is that an intelligent, powerful, conscious creator did the job. So, which of these two possible explanations explain the phenomena in question in a superior manner? And I
So,
would say if you go from each of these 6 or 7 points, which I just listed now,
mhm.
and posit random unguided events, this is an infinitely inferior
Are you
explanation than
willing to
an
come back
intelligent
next
mind.
week, sir? Because I will go and get the science and the studies and I will show them to you. But I
Well,
do
the
not
funny
have
thing
them
is,
at my forefront of attention at the
we
moment.
have a
But
good
I
answer
can do
for
that
it.
for you.
The Big Bang Theory is a good answer for it, which was actually provided by a Vatican priest from the Vatican Observatory. We had 13 billion years, and humans only came about it in the last 500,000 years of 13 billion, which is a minute in all of the scale of time. If you had all time as a 24-hour clock, we are 1 minute of all of existence. So why did it
So what
take
is the cause of the
so
bang?
long? The
What
Big
is the
Bang.
cause of the bang?
so look, hold
Do you
on.
want to explain the Big
You're
Bang with the Big Bang?
so you're kind of going with the contingency argument here. It's saying that everything is contingent on something, which means if the Big Bang caused
No.
the universe, then what caused the Big Bang? You could do you have the same problem with God. What caused God? And
Well,
then
I
you
could say
go,
the Big
Well,
Crunch.
something must have always existed
Well,
because
exactly.
otherwise there would
yes.
be nothing.
And
Okay.
that
The Big
So the
Crunch.
question is, what always existed? Is it the universe, or is it a superior being which brought the universe into existence?
so based on the evidence we have, I would posit that energy itself solves the contingency problem because energy
Entropy.
is complete you can't destroy it. It has existed and probably always will exist. And as Gadwin sort of pointed out, the how do I put it? The model of the Big Bang and the Big Crunch, and that it's essentially always in motion, going from one to the other, explains everything with absolutely no issue.
And
The
matter
only
does
Well, but
break
you
down
difference,
have
into
you
quarks.
have a big problem here, which is the second law of thermodynamics, which says that you go from a low entropy starting point at the universe to a high entropy end point where the universe basically ends with heat death, where energy cannot perform any work anymore. And there is no scientific model which reverses that to an initial starting point where the high entropy state goes back to a low entropy state, and then everything can bounce back and restart. That model simply has never been shown to be plausible.
so
I just want to add here, it has definitely been shown to be plausible, and the method of the retraction or the contraction of the universe is simple. It's gravity, because gravity extends indefinitely. And when that's the only remaining force, because of what our new guest has just explained as the heat death. That means the heat energy is that dispersed that it's having less and less effect, which means it eventually gets to a point where that stops because that doesn't extend forever. Heat. But gravity does. And that's why the contraction will always have cause to happen. And until he can explain why it couldn't, and why gravity that does not require heat or lack of heat would not do this. Thank.
So if it's not plausible, why are there so many scientists who jump on it without question? Because
Well,
it's
first of all, that is a faith position. It's not based on
it's
science.
not faith.
There is no science
Process.
which shows that entropy can be reverted. Actually, the second law of thermodynamics is one of the most scientifically
It changes
attested
form. Matter changes
scientific
form.
physical laws, which has never
So
been broken.
so I am not prepared to be able to combat the law of thermodynamics that you just mentioned, and I'm not going to pretend like I can. However, I will say, when it comes to just pure probability, even with that issue, it's way more likely than a deity or a god. That's just insanity.
I mean, like, who created God then? How do you explain God
Exactly. Like
being
there's
then?
the contingency problem
Back to the first
always
mover.
it goes back even to the theist who uses the contingency argument against atheists. Like you have the
Yeah.
same problem.
Yep.
No, we
Exactly
don't.
right.
God
I
didn't
Hence
come
believe
out of
my
in a,
nothing.
first
I
statement
believe in
at
an
all, the first
uncreated,
mover problem.
eternal creator, which has never been created, which has always existed. Since
You're
Exactly.
something
you're
always must have
The
presupposing
existed.
creator
creation
created.
rather than formation when we can explain formation all the way back to the Big Bang. And we're not even saying that is the beginning. We're just saying that's the beginning of the physics that we understand.
The universe
Where
is an
it's
eternal loop.
no one's saying exactly. No, we don't even know that for sure. We're just saying that it's in a different form than it was today. The physics was different. We don't understand it. You can't understand it. You are inserting a God.
We
We
have
are
CERN.
asserting that is the point where we don't know.
CERN has
End of
helped us
fucking
actually
story,
understand a
mate.
lot of it.
Your
If you break
assertion is
everything,
God. Explain your God. That's all we ask. And you
What
haven't
is God?
explained your God. All
What is
you've
God?
done is made excuses. All you've gone is, yeah, but you can't explain this. Yeah, but you can't explain that. But we fucking can. And if you bother
So
to look at the science, you can fucking learn it. But we can't learn about your imaginary God. And we want to know how you can explain your thing, which is undetectable and is apparently, I don't know that you're Christian, I'm assuming here, is benevolent and fucking all knowing, all seeing, and fucking everything like that. And these three omnis don't fit together anyway.
Okay.
That's a contradiction. Your Bible has contradictions. Everything has contradictions for
Wait,
Christianity, but that's
Grasso?
all
my
right,
understanding.
let's let JT talk for a moment. He just popped in. He hasn't been able to say anything.
No, that's cool. It's cool. I feel
Hey,
like deja
JT, how
vu,
you
right?
going?
No, Grasso. Where did you guys get this guy?
He just popped up. I don't know.
How you
A
doing, Grasso?
friendly. He's been nice. He's good. He's just having his conversation, which
He's
is fine. He's
actually
not rude.
he's made me have to frickin' think, and that's not common in my experience with theists. No offense, but like,
No, no, no. Yeah,
it's
it's
not
just great.
normal.
I don't mean to sound to be on the attack too much.
So
I
what's he
apologise
arguing
out there,
exact?
fella.
Well, I mean, you're on repeat like every day, Adi. But what's he arguing exactly? Like,
Not
um,
really.
kinda. But like, what is he arguing about? God? Like for the existence of God?
Yes, he's arguing that it's the most rational. He made it clear that he's not making an objective claim, but he thinks that it's the most plausible. I'm not gonna put words in his mouth. He can simplify it for you if he would like to. I'll probably get it incorrect at some point.
And Grasso, you say that it's probably more likely that that it was designed because like it has an order to it or something, or I don't want to summarize your point for you, so I just got here, like so I'm asking.
Well, there are
Can I quickly
several.
answer Mama Dingo's questions here? Because it's simple. She's going on about the genetic code, and it's more a genetic method.
Buddy, why
It's
don't
just
you
called
let
a
the man
code
talk?
for ease.
Shut the fuck up.
Because this fucker's just
Why don't you shut
insulted
the
me on
fuck up?
chat.
Everyone's tired of hearing your voice. Let the man talk.
He's just answering a question from chat, and I do try to include chat. It's fine.
So
But-
I do deny the
What were you saying,
existence of
Grasso,
code.
before
It's a
this fucker
method.
kept yapping? Shut up.
Yeah, there are a few columns, I would say, of intelligent design. One is fine tuning, the other is instructional information, the other is irreducible complexity, the other is foresight. There are a few others. There's integrated complexity. These are, in my understanding, hallmarks of design. So when you see things which have these properties, then it is probably more rational to believe that they have an intelligent cause.
Pattern
Okay.
recognition. All you're doing is saying you recognize patterns, basically, and you
No, he's
just
saying that it has like an order to it, and shit doesn't just order itself. Like it usually
well,
requires something.
we look at things. Things have ordered
Funny how the
themselves how
hole
they
for a
are,
puddle
but we
fits a
just
puddle.
observe it as it's
So,
already.
Grasso, do you think, like, whatever the origin of things, do you think it's like a
Yeah, and I'm the one on repeat, for fuck's sake. Fucking, this
you
is fun talking
you're
over
totally on
JT,
repeat?
isn't it?
Like every day you're on repeat. Like every fucking time I see this
Talking
place.
and derailing JT's fun.
Derailing,
Sorry,
goddamn, dude. Sorry, I derailed you for this. I
sorry.
swear to God, you've had the same
We
conversation
can
like
both
fucking
be
20
rude,
million times.
prick
So
asshole.
okay. So everyone here has not heard, or I'm sure people are watching this that don't know any of us. And if that happens, then it's fine to reiterate points from the past. In fact, you kind of have to, because it's not just about us. But like, let's not get into talking shit to each other. Like that's when everything goes to shit. Please.
Yeah. So anyway, Grasso, you're saying where everything comes from, like this, it's like by design, right? It just come up from itself or something like that.
What I am saying that is what we see around us in the physical world is better explained by an intelligent, powerful, conscious, eternal creator rather than not.
Right. That's where we disagree. So where do we go from here? Because it's like, to me, that's that's it.
I mean,
It's a little bit of a crazy claim, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Okay, I
look
can
at
maybe
disease,
make an example
mutations, all
which
kinds
brings
of
it
weird things.
to a point which makes it very clear. Okay, I am by profession machine designer, so I design machines with a specific purpose, and the blueprint which I design goes to the factory. There are factory workers which are able to read the information in that blueprint and then transform that 2D thing into the real 3D device, which is equivalent to the
Hmm.
blueprint, right? So
Yes.
I have never seen a random unguided process to create the blueprint.
So
And if we can see a blueprint in the natural world, then I would
DNA.
say this is a case where what is the path to the cause. That means you don't need to see the mind which created the blueprint to infer that there must have been a mind which
So,
created.
right, I get your position. This is a very common argument, and this is what we call the watchmaker fallacy. It's a fallacy because you're assuming, so you know that a watchmaker, and you used a different example, but it's essentially the same argument. You know that the watch was created. But when it comes to us, our existence, the universe, everything, it's a presupposition, and it's a presupposition without evidence, and that makes it invalid.
Please write
I,
down the
I
watchmaker
completely
fallacy
agree
and
with
have a look
you.
at a few more
When
videos
we
on that,
when
brother,
we have
because that's
two phenomena
interesting.
So,
where
so
one phenomena is well known, like the watch is well known that an intelligent cause made the watch,
yes,
and you see a similar phenomena in the natural world
no,
where
you
you have
don't.
not seen, well,
No.
yes, because DNA is the blueprint of life. It's equivalent to the blueprint to make a machine. DNA
It wasn't
contains the
designed, it was
instructions to
formed.
make molecular machines, which are also machines very similar to man-made machines, but much more complex. And we don't know who or what the cause is of the information stored in DNA. So we have very similar phenomena. On one side, we know the cause, which is an intelligent mind. On the other side, we have
Mm.
similar
Do
phenomena
you
which
know
we
what
don't know.
agency
And
is?
it is very difficult to assume that a different non-intelligent cause created that information stored in
You
It's
DNA.
not difficult if you follow the science that we've learnt so far, all the way back to the
Evolution.
very creation of what we know where physics
Yeah,
comes
but the
from.
science can't tell you
We
one way
can
or the
go,
other.
we
That's
can
why he's
go.
saying it
Can I
sounds.
finish, JT, you rude fuck?
You're a fucking rude fuck. You're gonna just repeat
No, you
yourself
are,
again.
mate. This is why I do the same to you, brother. You know, it's only you that I've got to do
Dude,
this with.
listen, the scientific method can't fucking tell. It can't check what he's talking about or what you're
Mate,
talking about.
well,
the
so
guy is inserting agency where there's no agency
Dude,
required,
okay, you
and
can
that's what
insert
it
a lack
comes
of
down
agency.
to.
It doesn't fucking matter because you can't
I'm
fucking
not
know. So he's
asserting
saying
a
it makes
lack
more
of
sense that there's a
agency, and
fucking
we can't
agency
know
involved.
and that's
because we
fine.
haven't got a reason for it.
Yeah, he's giving you a fucking reason because shit doesn't just make itself in the natural world, as far
It
as we know.
does, and
Well,
we know
Uh,
how.
a
so
rock.
And
what
you're
I
just not looking into why.
so
And
I
now, because you're being ignorant, I'm having to have this shitty little argument,
Nobody
JT, with
gives a
you.
fuck about what you're saying right now.
No, 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 you don't. Because it opposes your stupid belief that you cannot
Nobody gives a
back
fuck
up off
about
the
your little
core.
hard on about
So you
Christianity.
have
Nobody
to
gives a
use
shit about
ad
your fucking weird little
hominem
biases and
and
shit.
weird little
guys,
attacks.
we're starting to devolve again.
Sorry, new guest. This isn't what I normally do.
So what I think, in my opinion, what's going on, I believe it's a fallacy. I'm not trying to attack by saying that, but I believe what you're doing is we have knowledge of how things work, how cells are formed, DNA, all of that, and I believe you're working backward. You're going, this is how, like the fine tuning argument, for example, you're going, this is what is necessary for life, and I believe that's backward, and I'll explain why, because that is how evolution works. These things existed, right? And we just in by means of how evolution works, we use those things. We were built to make those things more beneficial to us to increase our survival. So regardless of, like, it's going to look the same at the end result is my point. It's going to look as if, oh, everything's just finely tuned. It, even if I'm right, it would look exactly the same is my point. I think that's the error there.
We're
Well,
CERN's
I
where we
think
can get it.
you're making a salad of different things. Evolution has nothing to do with fine tuning. Evolution has nothing to do with the origin
What?
of life. Now I can make I now I well yes, evolution has nothing to do with the origin of life. These
Natural
are two
selection.
different.
I
Well, there
I'm
was
so
no
No,
natural
he's right.
selection
so
He's
hold
right.
before
hold
there
on,
were
hold on,
cell
hold on, hold on, hold on.
multiplication
I'm
cells.
only
Abiogenesis is
I'm
fine.
only
Yeah,
stopping you because you're strawmanning my argument. The point was not to
yeah.
compare, like, evolution with fine tuning. That fine tuning was only a small example used to bolster my point. I'm not comparing those two things. My point is, I believe you've made a mistake of seeing. So we learn, like, the things that I mentioned, how DNA works, like all of science. And then you can take all those things and go, oh, these things are linked and correlated. Therefore, this is required for life when that's not, there's no evidence for that.
Well, I
Eh,
can make a testable hypothesis. I can say instructional information is always the product of an intelligent mind. You can disprove it by showing that non intelligent mechanisms can instantiate and produce instructional information. Once you've done that, you have falsified my claim. And the claim that the origin of life, the origin of DNA, and so forth has been scientifically explained, that is simply not true. I have written a 3 volume book. You can look up my name on Amazon. It is called X-Ray of Life, where I put 2,000 problems in science which have not been answered in regards of the origin of life. And one is the origin of DNA, which is a very complex macromolecule,
mhm.
and also the origin of the information stored in the first life which would be required. That would be about 1.3 million nucleotides in the right sequence. How do you explain that by random unguided mechanisms? Well, I mean, be my guest. You can falsify my hypothesis.
Well,
It is
If you put
that
the
the
right
well,
instructional
chemicals together, you
information
can
only
create
comes
life.
from minds.
well,
Life is
we've
biological.
already done this. Like, is the answer to your like you're posing a challenge that has already been completed. Like,
No.
Yeah.
yes, it has been.
Yes.
It's
Give me the
over. It's
paper
done.
which give me the
Ah,
paper which
And
shows
what
it.
Well, I
yeah,
can't
I
do it
will.
right.
That's what I said next week.
Okay, same thing
We'll
for
have
me. I
to.
can't just pull it up right now, like in the middle of a live stream, but I will happily
Okay.
provide it.
Oh, cool.
Can you
Okay.
do us a favour
I'll
so we
give you
don't get it wrong, please, sir? Could you go onto our comments section
Okay.
after this,
I'll give
shortly
you here
after,
in the
and
private chat
type your
my
questions,
email,
please? And
and
we
I'll
can
be
go
very
and get
happy
you.
if you send me the scientific paper which shows how instructional assembly information can come about by unguided random events. I'm
You know
eagerly.
that we can get all the amino acids that make that up, and we found them on asteroids in space. So we know these
Yeah.
naturally form.
Yeah, which of the how have over 200 possible amino acids been selected?
We only need
We have
20,
only
mate.
yes, we have only 20. So how did the natural process select 20 of over
Mate,
200, which could have been
it
existed on
happens.
the
We have
ancient world?
found them.
they
We
don't
know this
know.
to happen.
They don't
What we
know
have
how.
done is we've
So,
also created the same conditions as early Earth, which is more lightning and all that kind of shit, different elements in the atmosphere.
Dude, the bottom line is you
And
don't
they have
know.
self-formed. No, this has
so
been done.
what
This
I do,
has formed
what I don't
naturally, and we've done it with science. And I can get you the studies.
How
This
has
has happened.
tryptophan been produced even in a
I don't know
laboratory?
what the fuck that is and it even is. Which
Yeah, so you
specific
don't
one are you
really know
trying
what
to
you're
outsmart
talking
me
about.
with, mate?
so wait,
Tryptophan was
I
wait.
do, mate. And just because you're
Hold,
trying
hold
to
on,
fucking use
hold on.
woo,
Just
for
because
fuck's sake,
just
mate.
because someone doesn't understand what tryptophan is does not completely debunk their position at all, at all. But go ahead.
Go on.
Is he drunk? Does he
Sure.
drink? You drink, bro? Is that what it is?
So whose turn to speak? Is it mine?
It's you.
Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so of the 20 amino acids, 8 have never been synthesized in a laboratory. In life, they are produced by very complex metabolic pathways which require over 160 proteins. So in order to make amino acids, you need proteins. But in order to make proteins, you need amino acids. What came first?
So hold on. I don't have the answer to that. I'll concede that right away. But I want to address something, and that's the framing here. So you're putting this in the context of the default, or at least your position is that a creator is the best explanation. So for one, even if we don't have the answer to any of this, and I can provide at least some evidence for some of the claims that I've made here, but let's for a second just say we had nothing. That does not in any way, shape, or form bolster your position of theism at all. You have to provide evidence for that. You're not doing that. You're going on a separate topic that's unrelated and using that as justification for your belief. And
Well,
that's
I fully disagree with you. I am saying that science has unraveled that the universe had most likely a beginning. It operates based on physical laws. It depends on very finely tuned parameters in order even to have a universe, but even more to have a life permitting universe. You have to, the science has unraveled that life depends on DNA and genetic code and genetic information.
mhm.
So these are all things which are the evidence which demands a verdict, which demands an explanation. So
Right.
saying, well, there is no evidence for God. Well, first of all, there is evidence that we exist. We are here. We are talking.
That is not
No,
evidence for
And
God.
That's more evidence.
well, that if
Exactly.
Really
that
You've not
demands
provided any
that
That's a big.
evidence for
Can
your
I
demands
just
God.
say?
an
Can I
You
just?
have
Can I?
explanation.
just argued that
Now,
we
if
are
you
wrong.
think
You have
that
not provided
robot
any
hypothesis
evidence for your
is
God.
a superior
Can I?
explanation to all these phenomena, hey, be my
It is
guest.
not.
Explain me how.
It is not. That's why you've got 4 freaking atheists here. Oh, sorry, 3.
So hold on,
And
hold on, hold on,
someone
hold
else.
on, hold on, hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
That's sort of an appeal to the majority. Like it doesn't matter if there's
Yeah.
like
No,
one. It
yeah,
doesn't
fair enough.
matter.
Give a shit. Yeah,
It doesn't
that's
matter how many atheists and how many theists are here. All that matters is the strength or lack thereof of our premises.
No, we still haven't heard any evidence for a god.
I agree, and that's the problem. That's where we kind of. I'm doing my best
or lack
to,
of, or lack of. I don't
or
think that
lack
either
of.
one can be known. I think that's the whole point. He's saying it
So
makes more. I think
AI
he's saying
will
it makes
set
more
the
sense to him
straight
that this stuff
and
The
came from
lack
something.
of is because it's an
Dude, shut the
assertion.
fuck up! Shut up!
No, I don't need to with you,
No,
JT, though.
I think you really should. I think you really need to shut the fuck up.
No,
I
not
think
with
so.
you, though.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
No, I think you should just shut up. Period. I don't think anybody gives a fuck what
It's
you're
funny.
saying ever.
You're
I
just full of
think
shit,
I
and you
think
fucking whole
what we
crew.
need to do here is start talking about streamlined butt sex because that's how you lighten the mood. That's how you just cool off. Stream.
sodomy.
No, all the pseudo intellectual bullshit aside, right? Because that's the fucking majority of the shit. Let's get to the fucking brass tacks. What he's saying is, shut up. Okay, it's you. Okay, what he's saying is that it makes more sense to him that everything came from something that was
Right.
also aware and also, alive and shit.
Right.
That's all
But
he's
he
saying.
needs to explain where that came from in the
Right?
first
No,
place.
you can't because you can't explain shit either. So what he's saying is it makes more
No,
sense
we
to him.
did.
So
No.
okay. So yes, it's true that neither side has absolute proof, not to be confused with evidence, because that's a different thing.
Right.
But go ahead. What?
No, I agree. Right.
Oh,
Neither
okay.
one has conclusive.
But yes, but that does not. Let's not engage in the middle ground fallacy because I think this is important. Let's not assume because there's no proof that both sides are equal because they're not.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Not
agree
saying that
with you.
either. No, he's saying that his is more valid, and you're
I
saying
know.
yours is more valid.
No
I know.
this is nonsense.
All I'm combating is I'm trying to make sure it's fine. It's fine that you present evidence for your side, and I provide, and we present evidence for our side. Let's just not make it as simple as you can't prove yours, I can't prove mine.
The
So
reason that people don't agree is because both sides think that they have more evidence for whatever they believe.
right,
And the
but
reality is neither one can actually know for sure.
for sure, yes.
One has been a staple of culture for almost 3,000 years, where they force their beliefs on everybody.
That's
And it came from
irrelevant
a
to this.
very small region of the world. Which, if that God was so powerful, every nation would have had the same God with
So
the same
what?
holy
I
book.
don't
Nah,
force you
absolutely
to
not.
believe
That's
But
completely
anyone.
untrue.
and we
I
would have
don't
10,000
force
different
you to believe
religions.
something.
No
So-
way and shit, dude. Just because people are saying that everything can... No way. That's bullshit.
So
You
He
have a
I
doesn't talk
God.
over people all the time. For
I,
fuck's
Absolutely
sake.
not.
I happen to agree with you, Gadwin, but it's also kind of changing the goalposts. It's a separate topic.
I don't even
It's
agree with
fine.
that. No, I don't. Because
Why?
just because people are just because people are concluding that everything came from like a living source doesn't mean they can agree on what that is or what the nature of it is.
It
No,
obviously didn't come from a living
they're not
That's
going to
source.
agree that they're not all going to say, oh, it's just this one thing. Like, no.
But
We
church
don't
has a
think
long
that living
history
matter
of
is spread
indoctrination,
out over
destroying
the earth.
evidence,
Obviously, it
imprisoning their
transfers
opposition.
non-living into living.
But
Like-
even still, that has nothing to do with this conversation.
I mean, it's
Well,
fine.
why?
It's
There's
fine.
been
This is
indoctrination.
unstructured, so it's fine to bring up different topics. I just thought it was important to note that it was a separate thing, but it's fine. Go ahead.
Christianity ruled with an iron fist and killed anybody who didn't believe their way for
Which has
2,000
fuck all to
years.
do with what we're talking
And
about.
only in the last 200 years have people actually been able to freely
Of course it
understand and
doesn't.
look at the world in a free way versus the indoctrinated Christian view.
Dude, everybody wasn't fucking Christians, man. Jesus. What is your guys' weird shit against Christianity? Like, I don't see any other
main
religion being
religions-
fucking pinned.
The main
like,
religions of the world are
pinpointed
Islam,
as hard as Christianity.
Christianity, and Judaism, which are all Abrahamic religions that follow the same Yahweh God, Jehovah. It all
So
comes
If
from
they
the
did, they'd all be the
same
same religion.
So therefore, there is no God, or what?
Well, to me, it's all made up. If you actually look at
I mean,
history,
what's
you
your,
can see
I mean,
most
I
of
don't
it's made
care
up.
if it's made up to you or not. I just want to know what is your point.
Well, I can explain all of your side explanations for why there is a God with physics and science. Yeah, I don't. From my perspective, you still haven't given an actual reason why there is a
But
God.
God has to be indoctrinated on people.
Can we
I,
stay on the point? Jesus.
I,
In
The
fact,
point
you
is,
haven't even
neither side can
defined
actually
your God
know.
to
He's
us
saying
to
it
make
makes
it
more
simple.
sense.
so
You're saying it
I
makes.
We need a
that's
proper
fine.
definition of your particular God,
Oh,
too,
he's saying like a
which
living
hasn't
conscious
happened.
being as opposed to like some kind of fucking unconscious energy or some shit.
Well, to be
Well, that
fair, to
means
be
it could be
fair,
even deistic,
Well,
which
God would
means
have to
there's
be an
no way of
energy then.
detecting.
that's true.
Yeah,
But
basically, the argument is personal God versus impersonal, which is whatever the fuck you guys are talking about.
right.
Impersonal. He's talking about something personal.
Well, I actually really like that Grasso started with the philosophical underpinning because you're not going to come and debate an atheist in trying to claim that your specific God is correct and true. You have to start with proving that it's even likely that there is a God in the first place. So I completely agree with how he handled it. Uh, I don't see anything wrong with that.
I might have missed it.
No, he's only posing the
Yeah,
argument for the possibility for
Right.
the yeah. He's not even saying any particular God. I don't think I haven't heard him say that.
I haven't
so
either.
it's
And
just an
so,
entity of creation.
Yeah, well, he's talking about the nature of what we're calling gods in the first place, which is a personal thing. Obviously, you're giving it personhood, or like you're ascribing consciousness
Yeah,
or life
there's
to it.
no need for the agency, but there's no yeah, no,
He's
okay.
saying it makes more
There's
sense
no
that it has
contradiction here.
agency.
But
But it
that's
sounds
just
like
what we call the
we're a
universe, because
petri
something
experiment.
happened.
Like we're in a petri dish, and then we're just an experiment for some benevolent being, which sounds ridiculous.
That's just
He didn't say it was
solipsism or
benevolent.
whatever.
See, you're the one giving characteristics to it. He hasn't
Yes,
said
he did. He
anything like
says
that.
all knowing, all no. Like he gave a whole list
No,
of
that
it.
was me.
But
No, I didn't
was it?
say anything
yeah,
of
that
only.
that
He
Yeah,
didn't
no, that was
describe it at
me.
all. He just
that
said that it had to
yeah
be like it had to be alive and intelligent. That's all he
Nah,
yeah
said.
Gads, that
j-
was me, and I've been
right.
corrected.
You're the
Thank
one.
Yeah,
No. You want to
apologies.
shoehorn your weird little hard on against Christianity. You want to shoehorn that into every conversation you have. He's not talking about that.
No, I
You're gonna have to put
despise
that
all
aside for a
religion.
second.
I just like the history
Yeah,
of
it comes
religion.
I'm
up
just
the
saying
most.
you're gonna have to put that aside for a second because that's not what this man's talking about.
So
But
what
it's all
what
insane.
I think that we've got to the root of it at this point, and it is you're simply saying that it's the most likely based on the evidence from your position. We obviously disagree.
Right?
Where do we go from here? Like it's like we could, if you want to, we could discuss why specifically that's
Yeah,
like kind of get
his
further down
God
into it.
definition is simpler. His God definition fits in with our. It's just the reason for the beginning of the
It ends up
universe.
being a more of a
Like it's just
philosophical argument,
like,
is what happens.
well, yeah, the definition of God is estranged here.
And I'm fine with
It's
that. We can have a
Right, but
well,
yeah,
yeah,
philosophical
nobody's
argument.
going
exactly.
to
It
provide
fits
scientific evidence for
perfectly
one or the other because that's
because
not
the
possible.
God means something what
Well,
God generally doesn't mean.
so
we
you can't necessarily provide scientific evidence, but you can provide logic, which is just as good in my opinion. If you have
right.
logic that cannot be defeated, that is just as good as scientific. Like it
It's
works.
still the
Right, but when it comes
insertion
down
or
to
the
it,
assertion of agency without a
right, both
reason
sides.
to assert agency.
Okay,
That's the
okay, buddy.
basicness of it all.
Okay, buddy. Okay, both sides can
No,
give
the rest
compelling
is
arguments
all
with
the
evidence,
universe
but
exists for whatever
Mhm.
their
okay,
belief is.
whatever
But
your
it
name is,
starts
Aussie. That's great.
it
Okay,
starts with it
good
happening
story,
with
buddy.
agency behind it or
Okay,
formation behind it.
what is he
So
yapping about? Why is he still
yeah,
yapping? Are you drunk, bro?
because it's fun,
Are you a
JT. Because I'll
drinker?
do the same to you, knackerbags.
I mean, if this is to be some kind of productive interchange,
Yeah,
then
sorry,
I
buddy.
think if one person just talks uninterruptedly, then it goes nowhere.
Common sense, right? Yeah, I agree.
And I think
try.
then I'm just wasting my time and I'll do something else.
Fair. So I believe we've kind of reached a kind of an impasse
Right.
anyhow. So part of this is going to require more than just what we're capable of pulling out like right now, like immediately. And again, like some people, and I'm not saying you're doing this, some people will go, well, you don't have the information at your disposal. And the only reason why that would matter is if I'm trying to prove that I'm a genius, which is not my goal. My goal is to show that my position is the correct one. And if I can use information outside of myself to do that, that's perfectly fine. And you're just as welcome to do the same.
I am happy to see what evidence that you put on or what rationale that you
Okay.
put on the table in order to corroborate your position, and I'll be happy to analyze it. What I see is that in order for us to be here, there have to be made choices. Like as I said before, life depends on four macromolecules, which are the building blocks of life, and they need to be selected from an infinite number of molecules which were extant on the prebiotic Earth. And if there was no selection mechanism, then it would be pretty impossible this to occur.
We disagree, but I get your position. So I guess from this point, it's going to require that we can move to another point if you would like. But I think on this specific topic, we're not going anywhere past this point right here.
Yeah, I mean, you would need
And
more
how
than
does it
just
prove
saying I
God?
disagree with you. You would need to be able to show me how an unguided process can select these macromolecules, which are very complex and which has never been observed that they could emerge randomly on a prebiotic Earth.
What
Well,
will end up happening is I'll get a study and it will have big words that I'll throw back at you, and then you're going to have to go and find out what those big words mean, and then we're going to have to do this
Oh
again the
no, he
week
knows more about what
after,
he's talking about than
which
you.
is
They must
fine.
talk.
Well, maybe
Just
not,
jack
brother. I
a
did
weird
biotech
chemical
at
light.
uni, so
What's
fuck
as
off,
simple as that?
JT. But
Oh
I can do
no.
this, sir, and I will put in a little bit of effort. I've at least taken a few notes
Yeah,
down.
put some
So
effort into
you'll have
fucking
to
getting
pop
off the
in at
booze,
least
man.
next time. I can't
I'm
quite
in a
see your
chemical
name,
soup and you'll
Otangelo.
get life.
Well, you could put some effort into not being an alcoholic. That would probably be beneficial for you.
Yeah, I don't drink and I haven't had
Oh
a
shit,
drop,
you're like
so
this
fuck
naturally?
off.
That's even worse. You should have said that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So you're just a belligerent piece of shit naturally. That's great. It's cool.
all right,
And
let's
you
stop the
troll
personal
cats for a
attacks.
purpose?
No. It's more of like an observation, really. But
I know, but
Mm.
it's still a personal attack. So we've got about 40 minutes just to let everybody know, and I'll be shutting down today. I actually have to shut down on time.
cool. Great conversation. It was good meeting you. What's your name? Grasso? Nice points that you made there. Odyssey, go fuck yourself. See you guys.
Yeah, you're
Take it
useless,
easy.
JT. Always have been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guys,
He runs a
well,
troll chat,
thanks
for fuck's
for
sake.
having me, and
Sorry,
maybe
Grasso.
opportunity.
Thank you,
No,
Grasso.
yeah,
Yeah,
Our life
we'll
formed.
get back in touch later.
have a good one. Bye bye.
Soon we'll have the answers. Once AI can actually get into doing more of the breaking down of things, it will have a better way of actually explaining things than humans probably can. And like we're already learning a lot from CERN, the God particle, different particles and such like that, which actually make up the whole fabric of the universe.
Right. So the problem is, at least in my opinion, theists tend to start with there is a God. And then, like any evidence that comes out, like for instance, all the things you just mentioned, they're going to go, oh, that proves God. He just used this as the mechanism to make things happen. And so it becomes a circular argument.
In which they just called it the God particle because it gives all other particles mass.
I know.
And
I wasn't attacking that. I know what.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of explaining that too.
Right. That's fair.
Doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's God particle, like because it's God. Like
That's true. A lot of people won't understand.
but yeah, again, that's where I went back to where it's people start from the Bible. They try to make reality match the Bible versus just observing nature for what it really is and just taking in the scientific method and deduction
I
and
don't get the agency bit, because then you got to explain where's that come from. That's that
that
only issue, really.
that I think is the root of the problem, and it's the presupposition that there has to be, because it seems intuitive, which is just human
Mm,
pattern seeking, in my opinion. It seems
mm.
intuitive, just like the watchmaker analogy, that because we're complex, because we require so much so many things from the environment to exist, which I think that's backward again. But still, they see things this way and they go, well, it's obvious that we had to have been created.